This is Hayes Q Jones, your DVD and Blu-ray baller on a budget, and this is HQ Videos for you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a current subscriber, what's up? You're greatly appreciated. Come on in, make yourself at home. This week, for this week's video, I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to focus on the Kino Lorber sale. I ran across this ad that you see on the screen as I'm scrolling through Facebook. I often go to Facebook to post my videos, check out new Blu-rays, 4Ks, 3D movies that are coming out from other owners. So I go over to Kino Lorber, try to register as a new subscriber or a new member. My email address is already in there, so didn't realize that. So I recapture my password and realized I'd actually made a purchase from them back in 2019. I purchased 8 movies. I thought it'd be an interesting video to see what 8 movies I purchased back in 2019, how much I paid for them, and how much would it cost if I had to purchase those same 8 movies today. So I'm gonna go over those 8 movies, tell you a little bit about them, and on the corners, I'll have what they will cost if I purchase them from Amazon or eBay. Thought that'd be quite interesting. So without further ado, sit back, relax, have a drink of a smoke, and I'll catch you on the other end of this video. These are the 8 movies that I purchased. I know it's a little blurry, but I'll go over them. The Sixth Man paid $5.99. Cabin Boy Special Edition, I paid $9.99. Celtic Pride Special Edition, $6.99. City of Industry, $8.99. The First Power, $7.99. The Inkwell, $5.99. Is Pat the Movie, $5.99. And The Woman in Red for $7.99. So that's what I paid. Now let's go over the movies. I'm going to jump right into it with my first pick. This is The Woman in Red. This is the 1984 comedy romance. This is originally distributed from MGM. This was directed, which I didn't know, by Gene Wilder. Produced by Victor Dry. Written by John Luke Dabadi. This stars Gene Wilder, Charles Grodin, Joseph Bologna, Judith Ivey, Michael Huddleston, Kelly LeBrock, and Gilda Radner. The plot behind this: when a happily married man who would never consider an affair meets a beautiful woman in red, he is totally infatuated and desperate to make her acquaintance. However, as he tries out various schemes to sneak out to meet her, he realizes that adultery is not as easy as it looks. And love Gene Wilder. I think my first Gene Wilder movie was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He will always be Willy Wonka to me. It is also half of the, in my opinion, one of the greatest comedy duos, playing the straight man with he and Richard Pryor. I think it was appropriate that his last, acting gig was with Richard Pryor. I think Another You. But this is a fun movie. Kelly LeBrock is hella sexy in this. This is during her heyday. Weird Science. I think that's the first time I really was introduced to Kelly LeBrock. She did one with Steven Seagal. But fun movie, little slapstick, but it is Gene Wilder. Not as his best, but one of his better movies, Woman in Red. Next, I have the 1994 comedy Is Pat. This is initially distributed from Buena Vista back in 1994, so I'm not sure if this will get a 4K. I'm not sure if anybody wants to see this in 4K. But this is directed by Adam Bernstein, produced by Philip E. Thomas, written by Julia Sweeney. This stars Julia Sweeney, David Foley, Charles Rocket, Kathy Griffin, Julie Hayden, Timothy Stack, Mary Shear. The plot behind this: Pat Riley, an obnoxious busybody of indeterminable sex, meets and falls in love with Chris, a sensitive, caring person also of indeterminable sex. Their relationship suffers because Pat's a lout and cannot decide on the direction of life. Meanwhile, Pat's neighbor Kyle falls further and further into obsession with Pat, fascinated by his indeterminate sexuality. And not sure how politically correct this would be now if it came out, though. This is all based on a skit from Saturday Night Live when Julia Sweeney was one of the regular hosts. And the big ruse about it was, is Pat a male or a female? That was a big thing about it, though. Don't think it did well at the box office. It got a Blu-ray release. Buena Vista, so again, that's Disney, so it's probably not going to get a 4K. And again, probably not a lot of people want to see it in 4K. But it's Pat. Next, I have the 1994 comedy drama romance, The Inkwell. This was directed by Matty Rich, produced by Irving Azoff, written by Trey Ellis. This stars Lawrence Tate, Joe Morgan, Suzanne Douglas, Glenn Turman, Vanessa Bell Calloway, AJ Johnson, Morris Chestnut, Jada Pinkett Smith, Dwayne Martin, Mary Alice. The plot behind this Inkwell is about a 16-year-old boy coming of age on Martha's Vineyards in the summer of 1976. And again, being a Buena Vista owned by Disney, it's probably won't see this on 4K. Might not see this released again on Blu-ray, though. It's a cute story, a little goofy in parts. It's cool to see a very young Jada Pinkett Smith and a young Lawrence Tate, who damn looks the same as he did back then, decades later, though. But a little quirky, a little corny, but it's a cute film. It's a heartwarming film. So if you like that kind of coming-of-age film, definitely check out The Inkwell. Next, I have the 1990 crime horror thriller, The First Power. This was United Artists and MGM distribution, so you might see another 4K of this. You might see it maybe on Shout Factory again. But this was directed by Robert Rosenkopf, produced by Robert W. Court, written by Robert Rosenkopf. This stars Lou Diamond Phillips, Tracy Griffith, Jerry Kober, Elizabeth Arlen, Dennis Lipscomb. The plot behind this is a dedicated LA police detective and a female psychic must stop a demonic serial killer who was given the powers of resurrection, teleportation, and possession. And this is a semi-big hit back in the day. Thriller, kind of in the vein of Hannibal Lecter, but a little bit more supernatural. I think this is one of the few, I'm just dropping stuff. Few Kino Lorbers that doesn't have the classic back, and they actually have some artwork that's different than the front. Let me pull it out real quick. I think this might be the initial. I think this is the initial artwork for the trailer. Can't remember for the posters. Can't remember though. But fun psychological thriller. This is during Lou Diamond Phillips, probably at the height of his career with Young Guns, First Power, Alabama, and he's kind of faded out since then though. But if you like that psychological thriller with the early 90s feel, definitely check out The First Power. Next, we have the 1997 action crime drama mystery suspense thriller, City of Industry. This was also distributed from MGM and United Artists, so you might see this again somewhere down the line from a different distributor. It's directed by John Irvin, produced by Matthew Gain, written by Ken Sollars. This stars Harvey Keitel, Stephen Dorff, Timothy Hutton, Famke Jensen, Wade Dominguez, Michael Jai White, Lucy Liu, Reno Wilson, Dana Barron. I forgot what people were in there. I need to watch this again. The plot behind this: a retired thief swears revenge on the lunatic who murdered his brother and partner while going on the run with the loot that they stole. And I don't remember anything about this, but I remember this being like a really cool movie. It was almost like Quentin Tarantino before Tarantino. And does it have back art too? I think it's the same artwork. Yeah, I think it's the same with the artwork, just a little more red though. But really cool picture. I forgot, or I definitely forgot that all the other stars are here: Lucy Liu, Michael Jai White. So definitely give this a watch again. But I just remember this being a really cool, gritty kind of crime. I want to say Tarantino-esque type of movie though. So if you like that kind of crime vibe, thriller, thief movie, definitely check out City of Industry. I might be checking this out again soon. Next, I have the 1996 comedy sports movie, Celtic Pride. Now, this is a Buena Vista release or distributor, so you might not see this again unless Kino Lorber, well, you might not see it again, period. This is directed by Tom DiCiccio, produced and written by Judd Apatow. This stars Damon Wayans, Daniel Stern, Dan Aykroyd, Gail O'Grady, Christopher McDonald, Bill Walton's in here, Deion Sanders is in here as cameos. The plot behind this: the National Basketball Association playoffs are taking place, and the Boston Celtics are facing the Utah Jazz in a crucial series. This is also the last year that any games will be played in the old Boston Garden, which is going to be torn down after the end of the season. Mike and Jimmy, two die-hard sports fans who will risk anything for Celtics to win, are really getting into the game. And very fun movie. If you haven't seen this, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Been watching Dan Aykroyd literally since I was a little kid, since he was on Saturday Night Live. One of my favorite lines is, "Jane, you ignorant slut." Daniel Stern, watched him since Home Alone, City Slickers. Damon, very interesting. I just watched a little interview. He was in Club Shay Shay, and Eddie Murphy actually got him started. He and his brothers and Robert Townsend actually got them into the business. He was actually supposed to play Cuba Gooding Jr.'s role in Jerry Maguire, but I think Tom Cruise thought he was a little bit too tall to play, so he didn't get the part though. Just a little side part though. But funny movie, fun movie. Haven't watched this in years though, but a little slapstick. But again, like all three of these actors, and they mesh very well. If you like that sports comedy, definitely check out Celtic Pride. Okay, my second to the last movie here is the 1994 comedy, The Cabin Boy. This is a Buena Vista release, which is owned by Disney. This was directed by Adam Resnick, produced by Barry Bernardi, written by Chris Elliott. This stars Chris Elliott, Rich Brinkley, James Gammon, Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's, I don't know, older, younger brother, can't remember, Brian James, Melora Waiters, David Letterman has a small part in here. The plot behind this: a foul-mouthed finishing school graduate mistakenly winds up on an ill-fated fishing boat and faces the wrath of a crew that's considered him bad luck. And Chris Elliott is one of those comedians, either you like him or you don't. He just has this really offbeat, odd sense of humor. And if you're familiar with him from the 80s, he had his own television show that was on Fox. Just really quirky, silly-ass humor. But Cabin Boy is pretty much along the same vein, just really kind of silly, offbeat humor. I believe he was like a fancy lad. That's what they called themselves. Intentionally, they called themselves that. But one of Kino Lorber's kind of cooler setups here. They have a little book with pictures in there. You have the flip art, which I believe this might have been one of the posters, Cabin Boy. So you have the flip art, little booklet here, as well as a very nice slipcover. So if you like Chris Elliott, you like that offbeat sense of humor, definitely check out Cabin Boy if you can find it. And lastly, I have the 1997 comedy fantasy, The Sixth Man. It's also another Buena Vista release. It's directed by Randall Miller, produced by Albert Beveridge, written by Christopher Reed. This stars Marlon Wayans, Kadeem Hardison, David Pyler, Michael Michelle, Kevin Dunn, Gary Jones, Lorenzo Orr. The plot behind this: Antonio and Kenny Tyler are NCAA college basketball players, and Antonio's a star. Suddenly, Antonio dies of a heart attack, and Kenny has to fill his shoes as the leader of the team. Sometime later, Antonio returns as a ghost and helps Kenny in a game and in life, but Kenny changes in the process and doesn't quite like it. Not a great movie. Not a great movie at all. I like Kadeem Hardison from A Different World television show. That was kind of a spinoff of The Cosby Show. Marlon Wayans, one of the many Wayans brothers. He had a show, The Wayans Brothers, with his brother. He's Marlon. What's the other one's name? Sean. So he and Sean had a very funny television show on the WB with John Witherspoon, the late John Witherspoon. Not great comedy. Is corny, but interesting to watch. So, but I'm glad to have it with my collection. So this is the last of the 2019 purchases from Kino Lorber on their Kino Lorber sale. And these are my Kino Lorber picks, or my Kino Lorber purchases from the sale from 2019. So if you have some purchases that you made in the past, if you're purchasing from the Kino Lorber sale that's going on right now, let me know. Leave it in the comments. But if you made this far in the video, smash the like. Give me the big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Other than that, may the best of your past be the worst of your future. Everyone, please be safe. Deuces.